Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Today we are going to be doing something really quick that I'm going to expect you to do a lot of while you're following along in this series. We're going to be making some animations. Whenever I tell you how to make an animation, I want you to refer back to this tutorial and just kind of follow along with the steps that I'm doing because this is how you do it. Right, so you need to go into your art to the hero and opponents that we went with. I'm going to show you how to do this with the player idle setup. You're going to be able to do this with every single other enemy, light, and whatever else comes in the package that we are working with today. So, I'm going to jump to my idle folder under hero and opponents, sprites, player, idle. You can see that we have two different kind of assortments of idle sprites here. So we have the idle 1 to 6, and then we have idle with weapon 1 to 6. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on the first one. We're going to hold shift. We're going to click on the last one. It's going to select them all in between. We are then going to drag them into the hierarchy of our scene. It's going to open this because we're creating a new animation. So it's going to save it as a .anim file. Type here to name it. So I'm going to be calling it idle or player idle for optimum not losing files. Now, where are we going to save this? Well, we're going to go back to our assets folder. We're going to go and I've already created an animations folder. Right click, new folder, animations. I created a player folder so that I don't have to call everything player do thing. So we're going to go in here, and I already have my idle.anim. So you're just going to call it idle or player idle. I don't care which one. Capital, no capital, doesn't matter. Just make sure you remember what it's called. And that is all you need to do. I'm going to press cancel, you'll name it, and then press save in this folder, and congratulations, you've created your first animation. Now, something that should get created along with it, and this is going to be important as well, if you go to your player folder that we just created under animations, it's going to have two things called idle here. So we're going to have this weird idle 1, and we're going to have idle. Now this is the one that we named. This is something that we didn't. So you're probably going to go, what is this? Well, as it says down here, it's a controller. Or, more importantly, an animation controller. Animation controllers go on the player object or other objects in the scene and control the animations. Hence the name controller. So, we have this little sprite in our scene here, right? He's not doing too much when we press play. As you can see, this is our player character. This is him and his glory so far. He can't do anything. We haven't done any coding. That'll come in the next episode. But you'll see he doesn't even fall. He does nothing. He just kind of stands there and looks like a statue. He's about as animated as these pillars and columns here. So, we are going to come out of our game. We are going to add an animation controller, or an animator, to him. So, firstly, since this was created and it doesn't have a very nice name, we're going to rename this to player. So, this is going to be our player animation controller, which will sit on our player's animation. The other thing we're going to do is we're going to click on this idle-1 up here that I dragged in for scale purposes in the last video or something. And we're going to change this to also be called player. So, we're making this our player object. I'm going to save. And we're going to kind of pause there because we need to go down to our inspector and start adding some components so that our player can eventually take a little bit of form. So you'll see that on our player we have transform and sprite renderer. We also have this sprites default, this box here that we're not going to really touch. So I'm going to minimize the sprite renderer because we don't really need to see that right now. We don't need to change his layer. So we're going to go add component. And then we are going to search for animator. And you'll see it comes up with this animator thing here. So we're going to click this. Should be called animator. And you'll see that here it has a box called controller. It currently has none there. Avatar, none. All of this is set to none. So we're going to go over here to this little dot and we're going to click. And you're going to see that the only animator controller that we can use is this player one that we created just before. So we're going to click this. And then we can close this, and you'll see down here that it has player selected. So that's this object that we've got here. Now, if we go into our scene, actually, I'll show you what's in the controller first. Double click to open the animator window. I have it open up here, but this will probably open the window for you for the first time if you haven't opened it before. So double click to open that. And you'll get this. This is your animator layout. I usually try and keep everything so that I can see it up close. And we have these weird bubbles that you probably don't understand. Any state, entry, exit, and idle. Now, idle is the bit that we're interested in right now, because idle is our idle animation. It was added to it when we created the animation. Idle was added. Wow. When it was created, idle was added to the controller. It was added as the entry animation that the controller should use. So that means when we go into our play mode, idle is the animation that will run to begin with, which is what we want for now. So we are going to press play. Go back to our game view and make sure you have maximize on play on so that this happens, or just go back to your game view if you don't want maximize on play on. And we're going to press play. And you're going to see that this guy should be moving. If you don't have the... If I go back to my animator, if you don't have this idle animation for any reason, you accidentally deleted it, all you have to do is drag idle in here. Now you can see it created idle 0. That's because it's a duplicate of idle, which is already in the scene. That's fine. We don't need to worry about that. We already have idle in ours, but that's how you would get it in if you accidentally lost it. I'm clumsy. I know how people can be. The one thing that might interest you is if you look at idle, you can see which animation it has linked to it. So technically, I could rename this bubble here without renaming the actual motion animation that it has been given. You can change a bunch of things like the speed. You can set parameters for things. There's a bunch of different things you can do, but you'll need to have a bunch of animations created. I will go through them in the next video, and you should be able to do them before you begin. But it's really just a drag and drop process. It's not too difficult for you to complete. So I would recommend trying to, for the next video, you know what, yeah, we'll just get it out of the way now. So I'll go through the animations now. I would recommend getting the idle animation without the weapon done, the jump animation from jump 1 to... You're going to want to create multiple jump animations, so we'll actually go through that while we're doing that. But the run animation is pretty simple. You're going to want from run 1 to run 12 created as well for the next video, which is going to be programming movement. And you're going to need to be able to make your character run for there to be movement. So, thank you all for watching. I hope this wasn't too difficult, and I hope the explanation wasn't too convoluted. This is, yeah, just how to animate your 2D characters. 3D animations are obviously very different, and I won't be going through them. So, thank you for watching, and bye-bye.